Hi and welcome to West Yorkshire Spinners Hidden Treasures Crochet Along. My name is Anna Nikipirowicz. Today I will show you how to make square one of the crochet along, which is called Cherished Charms. You will need 4.5mm crochet hook, tapestry needle, scissors, and of course the yarn. I will be using the wonderful West Yorkshire Spinners Bow Peep Pure in colors blush and blackcurrant. You can download the pattern from West Yorkshire Spinners website, and if you like the video, please do like and subscribe. Let's get started. We will start our square with an adjustable ring or magic loop, however you wish to call it. The way I do it is that I hold the yarn end in the palm of my hand, hold it down with my two fingers here, grab the yarn and wrap it around my two fingers, my middle finger and my index finger twice. When I'm going around the second time, I make sure I cross them over on top. Hold it down with your finger here. With your hook, insert your hook under the first wrap and grab the wrap on top. Pull it through, and as you're doing it, twist it so the hook faces your hand. Gently take out your fingers, making sure that the tail end is to your left. Obviously, if you are left-handed, it will be to your right. And while we are working our foundation round, we will enclose this tail in our stitches. So let's start with making 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those 4 chains count as 1 treble and 1 chain space. I am using UK terminology. In US, it will be 1 double crochet and 1 chain space. And now we are going to work 1 treble into the ring itself. So yarn around the hook, into our ring, you see, making sure that we go underneath both of the strands of yarn. Grab your yarn and pull it through. Oops. And twist it a little bit because it can get quite twisted here. You should have 3 loops on hook. Yarn around the hook through 2 and yarn around the hook through remaining 2. Push them closer. There we go. Now we're going to make 1 chain and again 1 treble into our ring. Through 2 and through 2. 1 chain, and we have to repeat this until we have 12 trebles and 12 1 chain spaces all together in our ring. So treble followed by 1 chain, and our repeat ends with 1 chain because that will be our final chain space. Chain 1, treble. Let's have a look how many we've got now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 chain. 9, 10, 11, 12, and ending with 1 chain. So now what we have to do is close up this opening. So grab your tail end and pull really tight to close it up nicely. There you go. At the end, when you finish your square, you will weave in this tail end all around this opening to close it up nicely, so to make sure it doesn't unravel. So now what we have to do is close our round. To close our round, we will slip stitch into the third of our 4 chains at the beginning. And while doing so, we will also change our color. So grab your contrast color, make sure it's nice and ready. And now we are ready to slip stitch. So if you look at your chains at the beginning, you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will slip stitch into the third, which is this one here. So 1, 2, 3, and your chain has formed a beautiful V. So we will insert a hook in the middle of this V, so in between those two legs of the V, and make sure that you grab 2 strands at the back. You see, so my hook went through 2 strands. This will create a much more stable joint. It won't stretch too much. So now what we're going to do, we place our contrast yarn on top of our hook and finish off the slip stitch with our brand new color. So through this stitch and immediately through the loop on your hook. And now we are ready for our next round. What I usually also do, I take the old collar and the tail of the new collar and twist it around my new collar once. Just kind of traps it a little bit. So now that we have finished our foundation row, we are now ready for our round number 1. To be in the correct position, we need to slip stitch into our first chain space, which is this one here. You see, this is your 4th chain and this is your first chain space. So insert your hook into this space, yarn around the hook, pull it through and slip stitch. Then we're going to chain 1 to give us a correct height of our stitch, and we're going to double crochet, UK double crochet, US single crochet into the same chain space. So insert your hook into the space, grab your yarn and pull it through, 2 loops on a hook, yarn around the hook and pull it through both. So that's our double crochet. And then chain 2, miss this stitch here, so miss the next stitch, and 1 double crochet into the following chain space. Again, chain 2, do this all the way around. And again, our repeat is going to end on chain 2. Last one, and now again we're going to end with chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet. And because we are changing our color, we're going to finish off this slip stitch, you see. So you're going to insert it into the top of your stitch, place your color you just work with to your right, pick up your contrast and finish off the stitch with the contrast yarn. Pull it tight, you see, just tighten it up a little bit. Also tighten the center. So when you finish off your work, you're going to weave in this end here around the center so it stays nice and closed. So we've done our foundation round, now we have done round number 1, and now we are moving on to round number 2. So again, we're going to slip stitch into the very first chain 2 space, so we are in a correct position. Make sure you pull it this nice and tight so it's not too visible. And again, chain 1, 1 double crochet into the same space, chain 2, we're going to miss the next stitch and we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next chain 2 space. Chain 2 again, miss the next stitch, which is this one here, and in the next chain space we are going to work 2 treble, going to work beautiful 2 trebles, chain 2 and 2 more trebles all into the same chain 2 space. So now what we are doing is creating our corners. So we're turning our circle into a square, you see? So that creates a beautiful corner. So we have to have 3 more of those. So that's our first corner. So again, we're going to chain 2, we're going to miss the next stitch and we're going to work a double crochet into the following chain 2 space. So we're going to do this one more time. So altogether we need to repeat this action twice. So we've done once already, so now we're doing the second time. So chain 2, miss next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following stitch, chain 2, miss next stitch. So now we're going to work 2 trebles, chain 2, 2 trebles into this chain 2 space. So yarn around the hook, 2 trebles, chain 2, 2 more trebles, all into the same space. See? So now you can see we've got 2 corners here. So again, chain 2, miss this stitch, 1 double crochet into the next chain 2 space, chain 2 again, miss next stitch and 1 double crochet into the following chain 2 space, and then chain 2, and again miss next stitch, and in this chain 2 space we're going to work 2 treble, chain 2, 2 treble. So that will be our 3rd corner space. 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 more trebles into the same space. Beautiful. See, we've got 3 beautiful corners already. So again, one last repeat. Chain 2, miss this stitch, 1 double crochet into the following space, chain 2 again, miss next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following one, chain 2, miss next stitch, and 2 treble, chain 2 to treble, all into this space here, into our last chain 2 space. Chain 2 and 2 more trebles. Okay, so we're ending all our repeats. Pull it a bit tight here at the back, so pull the, there we go. So chain 2 and finish off your round with slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet. There we go. And because we are changing color, we're going to drop our yarn to our right and pick up our contrast from underneath. Grab your yarn, pull it through the stitch and the loop on your hook. So that's our 2nd round finished. We are now on round 3. And again, we are going to slip stitch into the first chain 2 space to give us, so we are in a correct position. Pull it nice and tight, and we're going to work 1 chain and 1 double crochet into the same space. Chain 2, miss next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next space, chain 2. So now we're going to do is miss 2 stitches and we come to our corner chain space. So in our chain space we're going to work 1 double crochet, chain 2 and 1 double crochet. So we've got our chain 2 here, 1 double crochet, chain 2, all into one first corner chain space. So now chain 2, miss the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the following space, chain 2, there we go, again miss the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following space, chain 2, 1 double crochet into the next space, and again chain 2, miss the next 2 stitches and in the corner space work 1 double crochet, chain 2 and 1 double crochet, and we have to repeat this along the other 2 sides. So I meet you here when we finished our last corner space. So now that we have worked all our corner spaces, all we have to do is chain 2, miss the next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next space, chain 2 and slip stitch into the first double crochet that you have made at the beginning of the round. And by doing this we're also going to change color. So drop your tool right, pick up from underneath and slip stitch. So now our foundation, first, second and third, all rounds are finished. So now we are come to our fourth round. And again, we need to slip stitch to our first chain space. So we are in the correct position. We're going to chain one double crochet into the same space, chain 2, miss the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next space, chain 2, miss this stitch, and we come to our corner chain space. So this time in our corner chain space we're going to work 2 treble, chain 2, 2 treble, just like on the second round. So 2 trebles, chain 2, and 2 more trebles, all into the same corner space. See, here we go. And again we're going to chain 2, miss the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following space, chain 2, miss next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following stitch. We're going to do that until we reach our next corner space. Chain 2, and in a corner space we're going to work 2 treble, chain 2, 2 trebles. Here we go. So again, chain 2, miss this stitch, 1 double crochet into the next space, and chain 2 and double crochet into all spaces until you reach the next corner space. So finish the 2 sides in exactly the same way, and I will see you here when we finish our last corner chain 2 space. So when we have finished all our corner spaces, our work should look like this. And what we're going to do again is going to chain 2, miss the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following space, chain 2, miss the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following chain, chain 2, and slip stitch into the first double crochet that we have made at the beginning of the round. And again, slip stitch with your contrast color because we are changing our yarn. As we are changing our color, I mean. Okay. See, so our work should look like this. And now we are ready for our round number 5. So we're going to again slip stitch into the first chain 2 space, chain 1 double crochet into the same space, then again chain 2, miss the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following space, chain 2, miss next 2 stitches, and again we're going to work 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet all into the corner chain 2 space. Just like we have done on round number 3. And again, chain 2, miss next 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the following space, chain 2, miss next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following space, and repeat that until you reach the next corner chain 2 space. Okay, chain 2, miss 2 stitches, and again 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet all into the corner chain 2 space. So now what we have to do is repeat this on the 2 other sides, and I will meet you here when the last corner space has been worked. So we have almost worked all our sides. All we have to do now is chain 2, miss those 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next chain space, chain 2, miss this stitch, 1 double crochet into the following, and 1 more time, and then we go, oopsie daisy, There we go. Oops. So chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into our first double crochet that we have made. But this time we are not changing color. But however, what I want you to do, I want you to catch that yarn that we are not using, but we're taking it along with us. I just want you to catch into the slip stitch, purely because if we leave it, it might create two bigger loops as we need to change it on the next round. So you see, so just place it on top of your hook, yarn around the hook and pull it through the stitch and the loop on your hook. And you see, if you can have a look, this yarn is nicely trapped here. So it comes with us because we will need it on the next round. So now what we're going to do is slip stitch into the first chain 2 space. Oops. Chain 1, 1 double crochet into the same space. And now we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next stitch. 1 double crochet into the next space and 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So we come to our corner chain 2 space. So in the corner space we're going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets, all into the next corner chain 2 space. And now what we have to do, we have to work 1 double crochet into every stitch and every chain space until we reach our next corner space. So 1 double crochet into every single stitch and chain 2 space. You see, now we reached our corner space, so we're going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 more double crochet, all into the same space. And again, 1 double crochet into every single stitch and chain space until next corner space. So repeat that until all the sides have been worked. And I'll meet you back here when we are about to join our round. So now that we have done all our sides, our square should look like this. Don't forget to work this double crochet that we have slipped into on the last round. Now we are ready to join our round. Simply slip stitch into the first double crochet, but this time we are changing color. So slip stitch with your so finish off the slip stitch with your contrast color. And now chain 1, 1 double crochet into the stitch at the base of the chain 1, so the very first stitch. So we're going to chain 1, we're going to miss the next stitch, which is this one here, and we're going to work a double crochet into the following stitch. Chain 1 and do exactly the same, so miss next stitch, 1 double crochet into the following stitch, chain 1, miss next stitch, and in a corner space we are going to work 1 double crochet, chain 2 and 1 double crochet. And again, chain 1, miss this stitch, 1 double crochet into the following stitch. So repeat this all the way along until you reach next corner space, and in there you're going to work 1 double crochet, chain 2 and 1 double crochet. So repeat this all the way around, and I will meet you back here when we are ready to join our round. So we are almost at the end. So we've got our chain 1, we're going to miss the next stitch and we're going to slip stitch into our very first double crochet. So again, we're changing color, so slip stitch with your contrast color. We'll finish off the slip stitch with your contrast color, and we can now cut off this yarn here because we won't need it anymore. And we are ready for our last round, which is round number 8. So chain 1, you can work this end into your stitches here. It will save you a bit on weaving in. 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 1 double crochet into the next chain space, and again 1 double crochet into every stitch and chain space until your corner chain 2 space, and in a corner space we will work 1 double crochet, chain 2 and 1 double crochet. See, so one double crochet into every single stitch and chain space, one double crochet, chain 2, one double crochet into the corner space, and then repeat this all the way around. And I will see you back here when we are about to join our last round of square number 1. So when you have worked all the stitches in a final round, you should have 84 double crochets altogether, 21 on each single side. And now we are ready to fasten off our square. All we have to do is slip stitch to our first double crochet. When some people like to fasten off by making one chain and pulling the yarn through. This is perfectly fine. However, in those squares, I don't recommend it, purely because it creates a little bump. And if you want a nice smooth finish, you don't need this bump. What I would do, I would just cut off my yarn, pull my thread out, so just pull it all the way out, and then with my tapestry needle, I will weave it in really nicely. So let me just feed my yarn through my tapestry needle, and you see what I will do, I will go under the 2 strands of my first double crochet of that round, the one I slip stitch into. I will go back into it under the 2 legs of it, pull my yarn through to the other side, and now weave it in into my stitches. So I would weave it in into 3 stitches, 3 or 4, there's no need for more, and then omit 1 and go back into the other stitch. So go back on yourself, so that way it will not unravel and you will keep the end nice and secure. Cut off your yarn, and that's it. And you see the finish here is much neater and smoother. When you have finished your square, you need to weave in all the ends, and also you need to secure the strand of yarn around your foundation row, so around the center. What I usually do is obviously feed my yarn through the tapestry needle, then go around all the way around into every stitch around the center, so you will do this on every single square in this crochet along. So you can even go twice, so in between all the stitches, right around the center, pull it tight, and then go back on yourself again. So make sure that you don't go into every single stitch, because the yarn will just unravel. You kind of omit one stitch. So let's say I've got my strand of yarn is coming out here, so I will omit the next stitch and I will insert my needle through the next stitches and all the way around back on myself. That will ensure that my center will not open up. Oops. And you can cut off the excess strands now. That way your center is nicely secured. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this square. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you back here next week for square number 2.